Hi, everyone. Welcome to Let's Talk. My name is Nick Cosgrove, and today is Friday, May 8th, 2020. Today, I want to talk about weekly check-ins. And the reason I want to talk about weekly check-ins is because earlier this morning, I put a story up on my Instagram newsfeed uh, that was recording my weekly check-ins that I do with my online clients. And I had a new follower DM me and ask me, hey, what are these weekly check-ins all about? I think for the most part, most of my clients already know that I do weekly check-ins and I do work with people online, but there's a lot of people that don't know that I do actually work with people online. They think, well, you're just a trainer that works in the gym. And that's true. I do work in the gym. I still work on the gym floor, but I would say probably about a good 50 to 60% of my business is now done online. Um, and one of the things this person had asked me is, what are these weekly check-ins and what are you doing? And I said, well, the weekly check-ins, I thought, instead of answering you through a DM, I'm going to come on and just make a short video and explain to people what my weekly check-ins are all about. And my weekly check-ins are simple. They're there for one reason, and that reason is to hold my online clients accountable. So when I design a nutritional plan or a training program for someone, one of the first things I say to them after I design the plan is, I absolutely need to have your weekly check-in every Friday morning before 11 a.m. Now, if that weekly check-in comes in at 11:01 a.m., I say, I'm sorry, I can't make the adjustments for that plan today. I'll make them later on this weekend. The reason I do that, though, is because I want to hold my clients accountable for getting those check-ins to me Friday morning before 11 a.m. It's so important because if I know they're taking their check-in seriously, I know they're taking their diet seriously, I know they're taking their training seriously. So when I look at a weekly check-in, there's a few things I look for to make sure that they're on track. And also to make sure myself as a coach that I'm on track too, because I'm just as accountable as they are. So when I design a plan for someone, I make sure I customize it, accordingly for that person I'm working with. I take into consideration their allergies, where that person is, they're sensitive to certain maybe gluten, maybe they're, celiac. It depends, right? They could have IBS. So you have to take in a few factors when you're designing a plan for somebody. But at the same time, once that plan is done and I send it to them, I expect them to follow it to a T. And so with the weekly check-in, when they send me that weekly check-in and I look over their plan and I say, okay, well, they didn't lose weight this week. And I look over and see, well, they cheated on their diet 3 times and they missed maybe 3 training sessions and they skipped that cardio session and maybe they missed that meal. I'm like, it's not a mystery as to why they didn't lose that weight. But here's the thing is if you don't have that weekly check-in and then they say, hey, Nick, I didn't lose any weight this week. I don't know what's going on, and I expect them to be honest with me and tell me, hey, Nick, I kind of shit the bed this week. I cheated on my diet twice. I missed that training session. I didn't feel like training legs this week. I'm not going to get mad at them. I appreciate that they're being honest with me. As a coach, it's my job to help them find a solution to the problem they're having. Whether that be they don't have enough motivation to get to the gym or motivation to stay on their diet, whatever it is, it's my job to try to get them to that point where they have that motivation to stay on track. So that's where I find the weekly check-in comes into play because it does hold them accountable. And I don't always look at the number on the scale. That's just something I use as a guide. I look at energy levels. If I have someone that's losing 2 or 3 pounds a week, but they feel like absolute garbage every single day, then that's not good. That's not a good diet. That tells me that, I'm starving the person. So I've got to increase their calories. Maybe I have to manipulate their carbohydrates or lower their fats and increase their protein or whatever it is, depending on the person I'm working with. It's my job as a coach to do my due diligence and look at what's happening to my client. I ask for photos. The reason I ask for photos is because sometimes the scale doesn't tell the whole story. Someone could, for example, not have lost any weight, but then I'm looking at their photos and I'm comparing them from 2 weeks apart. And I'm like, wow, but if you look at the photo from 2 weeks ago compared to the photo today, you can see your waist is smaller, your lats are bigger, whatever it is. So the scale is not always the whole story, okay? So, when you're doing a weekly check-in too, knowing that you have to report in to somebody every week, that right there is like, oh man, I got to send photos to this guy. I'm going to be in my bathing suit or my underwear and people look at me and he's going to judge my physique. You know what? That's going to stop you from having that extra slice of pizza or that extra bowl of ice cream. So whether you're working with a coach or you're doing it on your own, I highly recommend having a weekly check-in. I have one myself. It keeps me accountable every week. I always keep a journal of everything I do in the gym. I don't write down my workouts, but I say, okay, did I skip that day? Did I skip that meal? Did I cheat on my diet there? And then I look at the results I've made. And if I'm not making results, usually there's a reason, okay? I always feel like I always want to do something better each week, whether that's, I want to lift a heavier weight on an exercise, or maybe I want to lose a pound, or maybe I want to gain 2 pounds, depending on what my goal is, what time of year it is, if I'm in the off season, if I'm getting ready for a show. So having that weekly check-in really holds me accountable. And I have a lot of clients who've worked with me online for 10 plus years, and they've never stopped. And the reason why is because they know that being accountable to me and having that weekly check-in to send to me every Friday morning before 11 o'clock, they know they've got to stay on point. So if you're finding yourself having, say a hard time, especially right now during COVID-19, right? This is a really hard time to stay on track, stay focused with your diet, your training, gyms are closed. It's easy I put a video up about this last week. It's easy kind of to say, well, I'm just going to, take the foot off the gas for a bit and just kind of put myself on cruise until the gyms reopen and life gets back to normal. Life might never get back to normal. So you're going to have to adjust your diet and train as you go. So that's why, again, I think it's so important to have some kind of accountability. And the thing I recommend to most people is a weekly check-in. So if you yourself, if you don't have a trainer, you don't have a coach, maybe you can't afford a coach, or maybe you like doing it on your own, that's fine too. But you have to have some accountability. So that's the one thing I'd recommend. Take photos of yourself. You don't have to show them to anybody. You don't have to put them on Instagram. You can just keep them for yourself, and you can say, okay, well, am I getting the results I want? And if you're not, make an adjustment. Hey, you know what? Maybe you can lose a little bit more body fat. So maybe you got to look at your carb intake. But if you're just winging it and you're not practicing proper portion control, how are you going to know where to make your adjustments? I mean, that's another thing I talk about with clients all the time is proper portion control. It's so important. Yeah, I measure out every single food meal I have. And the reason I do that is because I know where to make adjustments when it's time to make the changes I need to make. If I can say, well, I don't know how many carbs I'm having a day, or I don't know how much fat I'm having a day, I don't even know, what's coming in, what's coming out, where am I going to make the adjustments? So that's the one thing I look at a weekly check-in. When my clients send me the reports, I can see exactly where they went wrong and where they went right. And they can see it too, because the longer that they work with me, they start to see, okay, this is what happens when I do this. This is what happens when I do this. So that's very important too, okay? So again, I think it's important to work out for the overall health, well-being, but let's face it, you want to progress. You want to see some results in the gym. You don't just want to keep going to the gym or keep following a diet and look the same and feel the same for year after year. You want to see some progress. So that's where the weekly check-in comes in. So a few things that I look for a weekly check-in. I'm going to pull up one of my clients right now. I'm not going to name who it is, but the first thing I look for when I'm asking for a weekly check-in is the weight gain or the weight loss. Okay, that's very important. Some people work with me because they want to actually gain weight, believe it or not. There are people out there who want to gain weight. So what I'll do with people like that, usually those are people with faster metabolisms, like an ectomorph. So I'll put them on what I call like a mass gaining plan, but I'll be very careful because, in my opinion, anyone can gain weight and anyone can lose weight, but you want to make sure the weight you gain is quality, and you want to make sure the weight that you lose is just pure body fat. You don't want to be losing, muscle. So there's a fine line. You want to make sure when you're, following a weight loss or weight gain plan. The second thing that I look at is energy level. And to me, the energy level is the most important thing, okay? As I mentioned earlier, if I have someone who's losing 2 or 3 pounds a week, but they say to me, Nick, I feel like garbage. I'm so tired. I'm irritable. I have no energy in the gym. Then it's my job to say, okay, where do I need to make that change? If I know they're not cheating on their diet and I know they're following it to a T, maybe I have to give them less cardio. That could be as simple as that. Maybe I don't even have to touch the diet. So I have to look at the program and say, okay, this is where the adjustment needs to be made. Another thing that I usually look at is the strength in the gym. Is it going up or is it going down? I work with people for shows. Bodybuilding shows, fitness competitions. I don't like to see those clients start to go like this as they get closer to a show, as far as strength and energy in the gym. Obviously, as you get closer to a show, your body fat gets lower, your strength might decrease a little bit. But for the average person that I'm working with, and even for the competitors, I like to make sure their strength stays like this and slowly starts to go up as they progress on the plan. So again, if you're losing weight, but your strength is going down in the gym, guess what? You're losing muscle. You're not losing fat. So again, the diet needs to be adjusted accordingly. The third thing I look at is the number of resistance training workouts that they're doing in a week, along with the number of cardiovascular workouts that they're doing in a week. So those are two separate components. So what I'll do with my clients online, I'll say, okay, let's say we're working on a 5-day training split. If we have a 5-day training split and they only get 3 of those resistance workouts in, they've missed 2 workouts. Same with cardio. If I say, okay, I need you doing 30 minutes a day, 6 days a week, but they've only done maybe 3, 30-minute sessions, yet they haven't lost any weight, then I go, okay, so it's not the diet, they're not doing enough cardio, and they're not doing enough weights. So you have to look at those too. Now, if someone's getting all their weights in and someone's getting all their cardio in, yet that weight on the scale hasn't budged, then we might have to make a change in the diet. So before you make a change in the training program or diet, you have to look at the whole picture to know where to make that change. Another thing I look at, cheat meals. So most people that work with me know that I usually recommend one cheat meal a week. A cheat meal, not a cheat day. I think a cheat day can really throw you off your diet. I really don't believe in cheat days. I think, one cheat day can throw off a whole week's worth of hard work. Okay. It's easy to start cheating and go overboard and binge all day, and then boom, you're up 5,000-6,000 calories in a 24-hour period. So I recommend a cheat meal. And what I always do with all my clients, I always recommend they have their cheat meal at the end of the day rather than at the beginning of the day. Because at the end of the day, whatever you have, that slice, 2 or 3 slices of pizza, burger and fries, ice cream, whatever it is, once you have it, then what? You go to bed, you wake up, it's out of your system. If you go and you wake up in the morning, you have pancakes or muffin or whatever it is, and you have that sugar, you're craving sugar for the rest of the day. So you're more likely to cheat on your diet and continue the binge throughout the day. So I highly recommend when you have a cheat meal, have it as your last meal of the day. And then that's it, you're done. And when you have it as your last meal of the day, all the other meals that you've had on your plan, you're not going to overeat because you're full. For myself personally, when I do a cheat meal, it's not usually that big anymore. It might be a 1 burger and that's it. Back in the day, I could easily do 2-3 pizzas in one sitting. But because I've learned over the years to adjust my cheat meals for my results that I want, I know, okay, the best planned part of the day to have a cheat meal is at the end of the day. So when I ask my clients about cheat meals, one thing I say is, okay, how many cheat meals do you have this week? Sometimes people do 2 or 3. And then I go, okay, so it's not the diet, it's not the training, it's they're cheating. So I don't really need to make any adjustments there. I just need to get them on track with their, control and, that discipline with their diet. So that might become, something where I might need to have to adjust the diet, but not necessarily lower or the calories. I might just have to say, well, they're craving sugar. So maybe what I should do is increase their fats, decrease their carbs. So that's why it's so important to pay attention to how are you feeling throughout the day. It's not normal to have low energy, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's that afternoon crash. That's not normal. If your blood sugar levels are going like this throughout the day, that's your diet right there. Okay, that's bad dieting. So we're told that, well, it's normal to feel tired towards the end of the day. I never feel tired towards the end of the day. I have just as much energy at 5 a.m. than I do at 5 p.m. And that could be from working a 12-hour day. My energy levels never go up. They never go down. They just stay like this. If you're, relying on stimulants to help keep you energized, that's a problem too, okay? Because then you risk years and years of stimulant abuse. You're going to fry out your adrenal glands. So again, that comes down to proper nutrition, proper supplementation. The last thing I ask for are any additional notes that they have for me. Whether that be, they might say to me, hey, Nick, this food is really bothering me. It could be something personal too, that I'm not going to share with people, but it might say, this issue is causing me this. This food that I'm eating, it's causing me to do this. This exercise is really bothering my back. So it's up for me again to find a solution. That's where a good coach comes in and can troubleshoot the problem that's going on. Again, though, without those weekly check-ins, someone might have a back day, for example, and go, oh, my back really hurts. And then they forget about it because, 2 or 3 days later, their back is fine. And they go back and they do the same thing over and over again. So it's important to, hey, I'm doing a deadlift, but, my back really hurts when I'm doing it. Maybe the deadlift is not for you. Maybe it's not for you right now. We can bring it back in, but right now it's not for you. So what I'll do is I'll say, okay, they are having a problem with their lower back and it's after doing something like deadlifts. So rather than do deadlifts, let's just take them out of the program and we'll put something else in, and then we'll go back to that exercise in a few weeks. Same with diet. I've worked with people over the years who they've done things like chicken breasts for years, and all of a sudden they developed an allergy for it. They can't do chicken breasts anymore, but there's still other protein sources that they can use. We might put them on fish, a good white fish like cod or tilapia, and all of a sudden everything's fine again. It doesn't mean chicken's gone for good. It just means right now it's not working on the plan. I've had people get sick of quinoa and they want to switch over to brown rice. I've had people get sick of brown rice and they want to switch over to yams, to sweet potatoes, whatever it is. You have to find a solution as a coach. So that's where a good coach again comes in. They know, okay, well, this is not working, so we're going to try this. It's so important to have an open mind and be able to try different things. And that's where I get irritated with certain coaches who I think use a very old school approach and they only think like this. It has to be like this because it's always been like this. until someone comes along and says, you know what, maybe it can be like this, maybe it can be like this. So it's a good idea to work with someone who has an open mind and, you know, is willing to adapt just with what you want to do with your plan. Okay. So those are my weekly check-ins, guys. That's what those are about. I put them up every Friday morning so people see I'm always recording them. I never, ever will put someone's name in my weekly check-in unless they, you know, they've done something really well and they want me to do it. I never do that. So I never want to, you know, embarrass anybody. I respect my client's privacy. If someone tags me in a post, I'll always share it, of course. But it's not my job as a coach to, you know, boast about their results. That's their results, not my results. I can't do the workout for them. I can't do the diet for them. I can just guide them along the way. So the coach, in my opinion, should never take any credit for their client's results. The client's results are the client's results. The client gets all the credit. Just like if the client doesn't get the results, that's not bad coaching necessarily. If you're working with someone who's a bad coach, shame on you, fire them. You know, you should know if someone's sending you a generic copy and paste program, I would fire their ass. I'd call them on. I say, hey, look, you know, I saw this program over here. Or if you have a friend that's working with the same coach and you're following the exact same program, but you're two different body types, that's not good. So, you know, you have to do your due diligence and make sure the person you're working with is taking your results seriously. You know, this is very serious stuff too. You're working with someone who is taking care of your nutrition, your dietary nutrition, and your training. So don't just think short term, think long term. Okay, that's very important. Anyways, that's my weekly check-ins. If you want to get in contact with me and you have any questions with regards to online training, you can reach me at nick@foreverfitperformance.com. Okay. Everyone, thank you so much. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll talk to you soon.